This week I learned Australians, they're a lot like Canadians. They just swear a lot more. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back, another weekly wrap up, the beginning of November here. But it's just been such a lot has happened at the beginning of November. I'm forgetting, is this the first or the second weekly update I've done? I don't know. I'll have to go back and check the archives after this. But guys, a very, very fun week, very exciting for me personally. Some things kind of marked off my bucket list here as a content creator. And we're going to talk about those as well as everything else that happened during the week and what shall be happening sometime, hopefully, this up and coming week. Let's begin, like always, guys, talk about what am I reading. I have continued with Empire of the Dawn. I'm into book 2 now. Let's see here, page 207. It's very good. The thing was, it's kind of funny, as I was over on BellTube's channel the other night on a live stream, and I was actually kind of reading this a little bit during the live stream, and I messaged him after and said, I hope it wasn't rude that I was reading during your live stream. Now, there was like 9 of us, so, it wasn't like I was just like ignoring anything. And I have that dad ability to multitask, because I was also watching the Rockets game at the same time. It's really cool. But the thing was, is if you read Empire of the Damned, and you know how it ended, and you had so many questions, I had just gotten that part right before that live stream, so I was like, I just got to kind of open this up and check out. But yes, it started very, very good, but obviously with so much going on this weekend, you get a ton of reading time, but it's very, very good. I will kind of continue to talk about it here as I go through it here on the weekly updates, but I will probably, I don't know if I'm going to review this one or not, because it's a book 3 in a series, and it's like, if you're not in by book 1 or 2, why am I going to tell you the trilogy? I might do hey, maybe why you should read the Empire of the Vampire series or something like that. Kind of like what I did with Nevernight, maybe. But I'll talk about that more when I actually get further into the book. But so far, the beginning's been great. I mean, it's a world that I really, really enjoy. Lots of others do too. And it was a great time to meet so many of the fans. Let's talk about the signing event. I went to Christopher's. I'm doing Christopher's next weekend. I went to Jay Kristoff's signing event. I was the moderator here in Dallas. It was a great time, wonderful meeting that incredible fan base they've put together. We had about 400 people at the event I was at. It's the largest crowd I've spoken to as a moderator. I've spoken to bigger crowds with work and other things in my life before. As you guys probably know, it's no problem for me to speak in front of people. With me, it was more, we didn't really have any notes or anything. I wrote some things down, some bullet points, and I actually told the crowd, I don't need these. These are just to make sure that Jay and I don't sit here and talk about our favorite, Vampire Diaries or Buffy episodes the whole time, because we could probably do that if we wanted to. But it was great. It was great. Jay's very easy to talk to. As you know, he's been on the channel like 3 times. You can hear he's a very awesome person to talk to. He's easy to talk to. We could talk for hours without a problem. He was insistent that we drink on stage, so he did actually have a couple of drinks while we were on stage. I stopped. I was like, I want to make sure that I'm coherent for this, because I am a professional in the end. But we got to go have lunch and everything with him and his wife, and me and my wife. It was a great time. And Jay and his wife, man, are awesome human beings. He just happens to be a really kick-ass author as well. And I'm just so thankful that he asked and put enough trust in me to moderate an event like that for him. It was a very, very big experience for me. It's just kind of wild to think about the evolution here. Is 2019, I went to a Pierce Brown signing for when, what was it? What book was it? I think it was Dark Age. Dark Age had just come out. And I went to that sign. There was about 150 people there. It was right before Red Rising really, really blew up. And I remember at that event, there was about 150 people, and I couldn't even get my hand called when I raised to ask a question. And now here I am 6 years later, moderating New York Times, Sunday Times bestsellers. It's just been a wild ride, and it's just been it's been a whirlwind, but it's been amazing. And again, I want to thank Jay for that opportunity. And hopefully, it's not the last time I hang out, because Jay, really awesome person to hang out with. And I'm sure we'll talk again here very, very soon whenever his next series does come out. What am I going to read, guys? That's the big question, right? Well, all of a sudden, I'm going to keep working on Empire of the Damned, because it's an 800-page book, and I'm about 200 pages into it. So that's kind of going to be the focus this week. We'll be traveling again. I did tell you guys we're going to be doing the same event, but for Christopher Rock. This is his end of the Sun Eater event that we're having in North Carolina, and that's how I'm going to be master of ceremonies of that, and that's going to be much different kind of production, because they're kind of putting on the one that we did there. Half Price Books kind of put that whole thing on. This is going to kind of be a little bit more from our end of things. But Christopher and his wife are planning out something really, truly amazing. It's going to be awesome. But we don't leave until Friday, so I'm going to hopefully be reading a lot before then and getting everything ready for that. But getting caught back at work is always a lot of fun, but we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be a fun week, I do think. But I'm going to continue to work on Empire of the Damned, or I'm sorry, Empire of the Vampire. Empire of the Dawn. Geez, Jay, could you make these naming mechanisms any worse? Geez, you're almost as bad as Robin Hobb there. At the if I happen to get to a stopping point, or if I want to change a page, maybe I'll pick this up. Like I said last week, this kind of be my floater. I imagine I'll probably read this after I finish Empire of the Dawn. I don't know. We'll see what does happen. But I've only got these 2 books and Christopher's new one for the rest of the month of November. And Thanksgiving rolling around here pretty soon. Hopefully I'll find a little bit more extra reading time on my hands after all this traveling here is done. So I'm not complaining, not at all. It's been a blessing that these big-time authors, have asked me to be in events with them. It's been really, really great, and I can't say thank you enough, but it is kind of one of those things where I'm like, how do I actually become Mike Muad'Dib and be many places at once? Because that's what I feel like I need to do. How about this week on the channel, guys? Did a couple of things. Did wrap up October and name my book of the month. I always tell you, if you read the week or you watch the weekly updates, you probably have no problems figuring out what my book of the month was going to be. I think it was quite obvious what it was going to be for October. When I said it was my most anticipated book of the year, and then if I really, really liked it, yeah, it's probably a pretty safe bet that it was going to be my book of the month. But always fun to go back and look at the month and looked at what really worked, what maybe didn't work, look at some things that maybe I want to kind of look at going forward. It's always really what a wrap-up's all about. Look at things that you guys seem to be interested in, and maybe in the end, not so much, but also some things that I really enjoyed making for the month. That's always kind of the focus there. And naming that book of the month, a lot of times it's a very, very close race. This month it wasn't really as close as I anticipated when I just kind of was looking at it on paper before I read all those books. But I knew that we were doing the March Madness bracket. That book would have been the number 1 seed, and unexpected. It's not unexpected that it won the tournament there. I did also my book haul for October. That was, like I said, that was a little early because I knew I was going to be going out of town, and I wanted to have that video out early. So that's why I did that one the way that I did. It was again a book haul. I don't really think, again, what can I tell you that I haven't told you before? It's my way to say thank you for things that are sent to me. It has some really, really just beautiful, stunning additions in there. Got some coffee, which I am drinking right now. I left it over there. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right now. That new coffee that I got. It's really good. It's really good. So again, anytime I can say thank you to viewers, publishers, authors who send me things, thank you so much. And also take a peek at some of those new things you can see on the shelf behind me that I've actually put up there. It's a fun time. I think a book haul is always a lot of fun for me to make. I'm just surprised people like to watch those. That I think people do like to. It starts conversations. It gives people an opportunity to say, hey, that's a really nice, beautiful edition. I didn't know that existed. Maybe I'll pick that up. So again, we know why book hauls are what they are, but I still enjoy making them. I enjoy talking with you guys in the comments. I do get caught up with everything here. How about some next week plans? Got a couple things here planned. I will be having my review for James Allington's Strength of the Few. That will be out on release day on Tuesday. Now, I just said, I don't know if I want to review a book number 2 or 3 of a series. I did my review for ℙ𝕦𝕣𝕔𝕙𝕒, and I talked about why I liked it, lowercase l. I didn't love it, capital L, like everybody else seemed to. With ℙ𝕦𝕣𝕔𝕙𝕒, a lot of those problems, do they still exist in Strength of the Few? Sure. But is it amplified by everything that I really, truly loved? Absolutely. And we're going to kind of talk about that. So that's why I want to kind of talk about the review for that, because there's a lot of people, look, I'm not going to sway anybody if they want to read it. If they love ℙ𝕦𝕣𝕔𝕙𝕒, they're reading this book regardless. If there's people like me who maybe like the first book, didn't absolutely love it, and they're kind of curious about this one, maybe that's what I'm going to be talking to there. But this is also one of the most anticipated books of the year. Of course, I want to talk about it, and I want to talk about why I thought it was really, really good and what I really, really dug about it. It's going to be a little different than most reviews in that it's going to be light spoilers. I don't think it's anything that's going to ruin the book for you, but I got to kind of talk about the things that are changed from the first book to be able to say, this is why I liked it. If I was that vague, the review would make no sense, because I'd be talking about, hey, there's 2/3 of this book that's much, much different than the other third, and I can't say what it is. That wouldn't make much sense. So again, that's one of those, like, it won't ruin anything for you. I think the first 30 pages of the book, you can figure out that that's what's going on here. But it's one of those, if you want to go in completely blind, I understand. Hey, maybe after you start the book and you're about a quarter of the way in, then maybe watch the review if you want to know absolutely nothing. But I hope you guys will be picking it up, because it is quite good. It is quite good. And I'll be curious to see if people who loved the Will of the Many like Strength of the Few as much as I did. If they absolutely love that first book, are they going to like the changes that he makes with this book? That's where I think we're kind of, because I already saw some reviews popping up from other creators who are saying it's a step down. And these were people I know that really, really love the first book. Whereas myself, I think it blows away the first book. I really, really do. And we're going to talk about that here on Tuesday. It's also going to be the very beginning of the end of the year content. I like to space these things out for like the last 6 to 8 weeks of the year. I don't want to do it all at once. So I try to do like, one kind of, looking forward to 2026 or maybe one end of the year content another week. So what this is going to be, the first one is going to kind of be the first preview for 2026. And we're all anxious to read new series and things like that. We've got such big, massive books on our list. And we say sometimes, I need something like a standalone, maybe a palate cleanser. It could be like a sequel book or something like that. But, maybe something a little smaller. And that's what I'm kind of be looking at, palate cleansers and standalones for 2026. I do this every year. It's always something that I say that's really just to kind of help me remember to read maybe some standalone books I had planned and just kind of forgot about, but also, some smaller books and series to kind of help, again, cleanse the palate from reading such a monstrous doorstopper of books. And when you're really, really long fantasy series, it's nice to have some of those nice little refreshers, some small books like this that can kind of get you through some of those times where you're like, okay, I'm starting to get bogged down. Because in the end, guys, it helps us avoid reading burnout, which is very real. Reading burnout is the worst, and it can happen when you're forcing yourself to read back to back giant tomes of books or book 1 of 7 in a series, So I think it's always important to make sure I put some standalones, put some palate cleansers on there. It's very hard to find fantasy standalones, but thankfully there are other genres that we do appreciate here, and we're going to kind of look at some of those. I have not nailed those down yet, but that is something that I will be looking forward to before I head to Christopher's event here on Friday. If you guys are coming to that event, please run me down, say hello. I'd love to shake your hand. I'd love to meet you. It'd be very, very exciting because in the end, guys, we're all there for the same reason. Love for Christopher, love for his series, love for reading. That's why we're all there. And I hope to get to meet many of you like I did in Dallas this past week. But that's all I got for the books, guys. Got a couple of TV and movie talk things here before I go. I was late to record this because we were watching Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which actually came out a couple weeks ago, but it dropped on Netflix this weekend. And it was something I was very, very anxious to see because, guys, I love Mary Shelley's book of, the modern Prometheus or, Frankenstein. And the thing about that is I think that Hollywood has kind of just fooled everyone into believing that, the Universal Monsters movie, Frankenstein, which I love. I love it for its cultural impact and for everything that it did for the Universal Monsters. It's a staple of modern or classic cinema. It really is. And it kind of established, the monster movie. I think it's kind of just made everybody believe that was Mary Shelley's story now, and it very much is not. It is not the story. And I always said, I wonder if we'll ever get a really, truly faithful adaptation of this. I know they tried after Bram Stoker's Dracula, they tried making Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and they just kind of tried to make it like a romantic movie, kind of like Dracula was. And it didn't really work. It was kind of a miss for me. So I've always wondered, will they try again to actually do this somewhat faithful? Now look, this adaptation, it's stunning. It's beautiful. Del Toro does not make ugly movies. His monsters always look amazing. His cinematography is always, boom, on point. It takes you away to another world. It really, truly does. But with this movie, I'll say it makes some changes, clearly, with Mary Shelley's book. However, I think it's probably the closest we're ever going to get. And I also think it was 2.5 hours long. Maybe it could have been 3 because I'm sitting there with about 40 minutes left. I'm like, there's like 2 or 3 major events still that have to happen. And I told my wife, I was like, unless they really rush it, they're not going to get in. They let out a couple, but they got most of them in, but they were rather rushed. And I do think it changed some things about the ending. And, Del Toro in the end, I think that he appreciates the dark fairy tale kind of story. But he's not heartless. He likes to leave you somewhat hopeful or somewhat, fulfilled at the end of his movies. And I think that in that regard, it's very good. He's still very much appointment viewing. I think Del Toro is always worth watching. It's kind of Shape of Water was a little too weird for me, but his monsters look cool. But I always think his movies are worth watching for the monsters and the visuals alone. And the stories never really disappoint me in the end. So this is another winner for him, another winner, I think, for the genre because this being super successful, like it seems to be, both audiences and critics, and I think viewing numbers are going to show that it's the first thing that's something finally knocked off K-pop Demon Hunters from #1 on Netflix, and it was Del Toro's Frankenstein. So hopefully this getting enough attention will make the studio realize, okay, maybe we should trust Del Toro to finally make H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness. Because, when he was actually pegged to make that movie, the studio insisted he puts a love story into it, and he's like, that's not Lovecraft. And so he walked away. And I'm hoping that this actually makes him want to go back and try again. Because I know he said that this had been on his, his filmmaker bucket list for years, was to get this movie made. So I'm hoping Lovecraft really is next. Because in the end, guys, Lovecraft is just like so primed for like a monster universe. And I just hope they'll actually just try to make this happen. And I got to give a special shout out for Mia Goth was really good. Christoph Waltz, I didn't even recognize him at first. But the cast obviously is going to be great. All the performances are really good. But I have to say, Oscar Isaac, this guy is magnetic in any movie he's in. I got to say, it's really cool for him to be the only one from those horrible Star Wars sequels, to be the only one who's really had a career after that, and well-deserved. The guy is awesome in every performance. I've never watched a movie and said, yeah, Oscar Isaac kind of brought the movie down. Even that horrible X-Men movie he was in, it wasn't his fault. That script was really bad, and I thought he was fine as Apocalypse. I don't know. In the end, I think Oscar Isaac's great. He's great in this, and I think it really does catch the egomaniac that Victor Frankenstein was. And so I highest recommend, guys. Definitely check it out. If you've read the book, obviously even better. If you haven't read the book, you might be like, this isn't the Frankenstein story I thought I knew, because you know the traditional, it's alive version of Frankenstein. Again, which I love, but it's not the book, So I hope you guys will check it out, because again, when genre movies like this succeed, and that's the thing, it doesn't look cheap at all. They put some money into this movie. So when things like this succeed, it's good for us. It's good for us fantasy and sci-fi readers to say, hey, maybe there's a chance that these things can get adapted by people who care for the source material, and some studios will sink some real money into it with a director and screenwriter who knows how to spend that money, like a Del Toro. So again, Frankenstein, Netflix, check it out right now. It's worth your time. It is 2.5 hours, but I never once felt like the movie was boring. And I think that you guys will probably feel the same if you go into it expecting it's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It's not Universal's Frankenstein. That's very, very important, because I know a lot of people will read that book and they'll be like, this is not what I was expecting at all. It's not. It is not like the original 1920s movie. That's really pretty much all we got. I guess I was trying to... what Jay was drilling the whole time on the trip, Jay was drilling in my ear about how I've got to watch the Interview with the Vampires TV series, because he knows I love Anne Rice. And I was like, I didn't watch it because it doesn't look like Anne Rice. He's like, just trust me. It's like, they do some modernized things and they put it in present day, but it's like they really, really, you can tell they love those books. So I'm considering giving it a try based off of his just unending recommendation. I mean, like, he would not stop. He would not leave me alone. He was basically hounding me about it, but because he knows I love Anne Rice. But I'm actually, right now, I'm really anxious to check out Pluribus on Apple TV. Am I saying that right? It's the new Vince Gilligan show. Now, Vince Gilligan, most people know Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, but they don't know this is his much anticipated return to science fiction. You guys are like, what science fiction show did Vince Gilligan do? It's a little thing called The X-Files, which was kind of like the biggest part of my teenage coming-of-age years, in sci-fi television. The X-Files is one of my favorite shows of all time. So Vince Gilligan returning to that, with Chris Carter. He didn't do X-Files on his own, but he was a major writer for the best years of that show, I do think. He even did the spinoff, Lone Gunman, which is underrated, I think. I could talk about the X-Files for hours, guys. I got theories, okay? But Pluribus, I'm not really sure. It's got, oh gosh, I can't think of her name right now. She played Kim Wexler on Better Call Saul. She's a lead in this. And I've heard, I don't want to say nothing but great things, because it's really one of those where people are like, I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm definitely hook and mouth so far with these first 2 episodes released on Apple TV. But what I've been saying is Apple TV is quality over quantity. They've already greenlit 2 seasons for this. So he's got a plan in place. And I think we know when Vince Gilligan has a plan in place, he follows a roadmap and he knows exactly where he's going the whole time. And there's no really other showrunner out there that I really trust to say he knows where the story's going. So again, I don't know a ton about it. I just know it's post-apocalyptic. Sounds cool. And it's Vince Gilligan on Apple TV. I'll try it. I hope you guys will as well, because when shows like these succeed, we get more of them. But if you guys have watched Pluribus already, please let me know what you guys did think. But guys, that was my week. I'd love to know what you guys are up to. Again, if you're coming to the event on Saturday in Raleigh, North Carolina, I hope you guys will stop in and say hello. I would love to meet you. Love to shake your hand. Love to just shoot the proverbial shit. I am not above that. I would love to speak with you guys. So guys, hit me in the comments. Let me know what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you are playing. And I will talk to you there.